Hello and welcome to Examplanet GRE class. My name is Gabriel. I'm going to be taking you through a lecture today. It's nice to have you. It's nice to know that you're there. Make sure that you're ready for the class. You have your writing materials. You have your pen and paper. Make sure you have a good note because everything that is going to be stated here will be all you need for your analytical writing assessment. Yes, a lot of people talk about the analytical writing assessment. They say, it's not part of our 340, so we really don't need to pay attention to it. Well, I tell you, for every examination, the first thing you do matters a lot. This is going to be the first prompt you will see. The two sections are the issue task, analyze an issue, and analyze an argument. So how well you do will be a motivating factor on the other verbal and quant sections. So my advice of course is that you paid attention to this and let this be a motivator to other parts of the exam. Of course, you know that the GRE is time based and then it is mind based, so whatever you do in the beginning might just affect the whole of the exam. So let's get to it. Whew, I'm excited. All right, the AWA, that's the analytical writing assessment aspect of GRE, is a test of your ability to analyze an issue and an argument from a balanced and logical standpoint. That is, what you think or what you believe must be presented from a balanced and logical standpoint. Just because you believe in it doesn't mean that you're going to write well. So you need to understand how to put out ideas from a balanced and logical standpoint. You will be required to apply logical reasoning, that is critical thinking, and persuasive writing to put together two 30-minute essays. Yes, 30 minutes for each section. The first section, which is the analyze an issue, and then the second section, which is analyze an argument. You have 30 minutes each. Now, these 30 minutes that you have will be what you're going to be given to brainstorm your ideas, to present your ideas, to build your ideas, all right, to express your ideas according to the pattern, the structure. Of course, this is not a creative writing assessment. This is an academic writing assessment, so that means it follows strict rules, all right? Strict rules on how to write. So you need to follow the rules, all right? So please pay attention because we will try to do all we can to lead you in the direction that you required to go. So let's get to it. Both essays are complementary. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. They are complementary. Think about it. Analyzing an issue is about speaking or writing. It's like speaking though, but yeah, writing on a general topic. It could be on science, politics, the economy, finance, lifestyle, family, education, career. It could be any general issue. Mind you, you don't need to have esoteric knowledge of it. If you do, that's fine. But you are not judged based on how much knowledge you have on the specific area. Example, if you are a medical doctor and something about medicine, just because you have all the words and the terminologies, the jargon, that will not necessarily give you all the marks you need. Even though you're going to have some content, but really, your scoring is based on your ability to express it from a general standpoint. All right. Then the other part, which is the analyze an argument, you giving an argument. Now, what's an argument? An argument is not a back and forth. All right, like we might be used to. It's not a back and forth between two people to know who has a more superior claim. No, an argument in this case is a body of claim supported by what? Facts, premise, opinion, background. All right, so if you have a claim that is supported by information, yeah, that's an argument, and that's what you'll be giving, and then you'll be required to critique the reasoning behind that argument. Critique means find out how strong, how robust that argument is, how convincing that argument is, how sound that argument is. Again, do not try to correct the argument. That's not what you're meant to do. In the issue task, of course, you tell us what you think. All right, that's the first part, the issue task. Tell us what you think and give us the reason for your standpoint. Yeah, so you're taking a side. But for the analyzing argument, you are not to take sides. You're not to change anything. Yours is to critique, that is, review the argument to see how robust it is, how convincing it is. But generally, in criticizing this argument, you're going to pick up the loopholes within the argument. Okay, so we'll get to all of that. Let's proceed. For both of these essays, a good essay is that which carries out the task. So for every essay, you get an issue or argument, as the case may be, but after that, you are going to get a task, the lower section of your question prompt. That is what's going to guide your essay. That is what you're going to be focusing on. If you do not follow the task, you have not written what you're supposed to write. So it's key that you pay attention to what the task stipulates. Okay, so your tasks may look like this. I'd like you to go through each one of these. I'll read this one, but the next few tasks you have to go through it. You can pause your video and go through it, and then when you're done, you can proceed. Is that okay? Yes. Thank you very much. Write a response in which you discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the statement and explain your reasoning for the position you take. In developing and supporting your position, you should consider ways in which the statement might or might not hold true and explain how these considerations shape your position. That means you are to take your position, take a stand, pick a side, and then consider all the facts, the ways, evidence that might go against your own stand. That means you're looking at it from a balanced standpoint. But you must stick to your stand. Alright, so you're going to go through that, and then the next few tasks, go through them also. When you understand each one, then you may proceed. Alright, so you have that, and others. But what you notice in all the tasks, I'm sure you noticed it. You are supposed to go look at both sides, right? Most times you see, address the compelling reasons that may be used to challenge your position, right? You address both views that are presented. So you have to look at every part of the essay or every part of the topic, yeah, and consider all things that should go against your own standpoint. So you see, it's quite broad. This kind of writing is something that you do from a position of understanding. Understanding is key. Say that with me. Understanding is key. Yeah, thank you very much. Understanding is key. You don't rush into the essay. Make sure you understand all you need to do. Here are some tips. Number one, yeah, I said it. Make sure you understand the issue and the direction of the topic, as some topics may be broad. For example, if they asked you to speak on education, education may be vague because it could be formal or informal education. It could be primary, secondary, tertiary education. It could be different types of education, vocational, cognitive, So, whenever you have a topic, make sure you understand the direction of that topic before you start writing. Somebody was asked to write the introduction of little children to technology, and the person was telling us about the rockets and the International Space Station. Like, what are you talking about? We're talking about little children. So what should affect little children? What technology closely affects them? Not things like rocket science. Come on, huh? Well, that's my opinion though. But then make sure you hone in on the specific aspect of the discussion that is indicative of a clear understanding. Number two, make sure you understand the task as stated previously. Yes, all those tasks, please go back, look at them, make sure you understand each. Number 3, make sure your position is clear from start to finish. At no point in your essay should your position be brought to question. We need to know what side or which side you are on. If you're going to agree, let's know that you're going to agree from start to finish. If you're going to disagree, however, let it remain that way. All right, there must be no conflict of ideas. Then number 4, use appropriate persuasive devices in driving home your points. And even though you're driving home your points, please try not to be in the first person. Try to use the passive voice. All right, don't try run away from things like I think I. Yeah, that could be allowed at some point, but just as a rule, try not to write in that manner. All right, we'll get to that in the body of your essay. Number 5, follow the structure as given in the next panel. Yeah, that means we're going to the next panel. Yes, the structure of issue essay. Now, we're going to take it one after the other. So pay attention. Let's get to it. Introduction. Every essay begins with an introduction. Now, for the issue essay, the introduction is going to be broken into different parts. Number 1, the hook. It's also called the lead or the background. This is a general view, a general, opinion. All right. It could be a statistic, a research result. It could be a quote from an expert, something that shapes your position in the direction of your stand. All right, so that's just you. What is that general idea that makes you go in that direction that you have chosen, whether to agree or to disagree? Write that down. Next, you define vague terms where necessary. I mentioned something about education. Let us know what aspect of education. Again, do not say education is defined as this. No, don't do that. Nobody wants you to do that. What you're supposed to do is talk about it in the direction that you want us to be looking at it, right? So that gives us a direction. That gives us an understanding of what extent we want to look at that word. All right, so that's important, but it's not always necessary. Then your thesis statement. Of course, your thesis statement is your stand. You must emphatically let us know that you agree or disagree. But while you agree or disagree, your thesis statement is not complete without answering the question, so what? How? Why? You must have an overriding reason behind your thesis statement. Now, this overriding reason must summarize the points that you have developed. Note, you cannot start writing unless you already know your points. Now, this is something that you need to really know. Don't start writing until you know your points. Now, when you know your points, then you can start writing. You would have arranged your points in the order you want. I would like to say this: always put your best foot forward. Your strongest point should come in first. We'll go into that in the next paragraph, but please take note of it. Make sure it is well aligned. Now, so the words that you're going to be, talking about in the next part must be outlined in this overriding reason. So, for example, you say, based on this, I therefore agree or disagree with this notion because, or given that, this, that. Now, do not itemize. Do not say A, this, B, this. No, it must remain as a sentence. Do not itemize as 1, 2, A, B, whatever. Don't do that. Keep it simple. All right. The introduction is not supposed to be bulky. It's not supposed to be with so many sentences. But let it be short and sweet. Short and sweet can never go wrong. All right. So next we have the body paragraph. I mentioned something in the last line of the introduction. You might summarize your points in one sentence. So those points that you have summarized in that line are the body, points. So first you introduce that point. Please make sure it is there. You have mentioned it before. Introduce the point. Next, point out scenarios or examples that illustrate the effect of that point. Concede to the possible downsides of your point. That is, you have counters to your point. Of course, if you're going to make me believe you, you must make me understand that you have taken into consideration the counter to your own standpoint. So you concede to that possible, downside, and then reaffirm the strength of your point over that counterpoint which you have mentioned earlier. Then you transition into the next paragraph. Now transitioning is wonderful because it gives you a seamless flow of your essay. Now transitioning is between one body paragraph to the next body paragraph. I would always say make sure you have 2 body paragraphs minimum. Yeah, so it's important that you're able to give at least 2 points. If you want to do 3, oh, that's beautiful, that's fine, but at least 2 points. It gives your essay some promise. All right, but really it doesn't matter. Yeah, but as long as your points are strong enough, well developed, your examples are strong, your scenarios are okay, you have used the correct persuasive devices at every point, I think you're going to have a good essay. The next is the conclusion. Conclusion. Now, the conclusion really tells us that you have done what you said you would do in the introduction. Remember, your introduction from your thesis statement tells us what you want to do. Tells us the stand that you're going to hold from that point till the end. So the conclusion is just letting us know that you have actually done what you did or what you said you would do. So you rephrase your thesis statement, letting us know what you said you were going to do and that you've done it, and then you summarize the key points. Look at it. You have introduction, hook, definition, thesis statement, overriding reason, body, introduce your points, point out scenarios and examples, concede possible downsides of your point, reaffirm the strength of your point, and transition into the next paragraph. Then you go back to the body paragraph and repeat. All right, and if you have another, do that again before going into the conclusion. And the conclusion, we said rephrase the thesis statement and summarize your key points. That being said, if you would follow this structure keenly, you should be able to present or produce an essay that you'd be proud of. Yeah, but then remember, you have 30 minutes, so you have to get to it quick. A sample essay as given by the GRE official guide has the following response. All right, this is your topic or your issue. As people rely more and more on technology to solve problems, the ability of humans to think for themselves will surely deteriorate. Of course, some of you who have the GRE official guide have seen this, and then the response is given. Note I am using color codes. All right, I'm using color codes, so when you see that, you'll understand. Let's go back to what we said before. Yep, you can see that we have a gold color for the introduction, red color for the body, and green for the conclusion. So we're going to follow that color pattern or convention all through. So here we have our task. Discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with the statement and explain your reasoning for the position you take. In developing and supporting your position, you should consider ways in which your statement might or might not hold true and explain how these considerations shape your position. So we're getting into the essay. I would like you to juxtapose the patterns given in the previous slide with this. So in gold, you have your introduction. Looking at the first line, the statement linking technology negatively with free thinking plays on recent human experience over the past century. Surely there has been no time in history where the lived lives of people have changed more dramatically. A quick reflection on a typical day reveals how technology has revolutionized the world. Most people commute to work in an automobile that runs on internal combustion engine. During the workday, chances are high that the employee will interact with a computer that processes information on silicon bridges that are 0.09 microns wide. Upon leaving home, family members will be reached through wireless networks that utilize satellites orbiting the Earth. Each of these common occurrences could have been inconceivable at the turn of the 19th century. The statement attempts to bridge these dramatic changes to a reduction in the ability for humans to think for themselves. Now, all that was a background, a hook, letting you understand where we're going, letting you defining the different aspects of human existence that involves the use of technology. Okay, and so you go on like that, and then you have looking back. I'll take you to that point. Looking back at a reduction, one could argue that without a car, computer, or mobile phone, the hypothetical worker would need to find alternative methods of transport, information processing, and communication. Technology short circuits this thinking by making the problems obsolete. So there you have told us where you're standing. You are saying that technology does well for us because the problems that we would naturally have, it has taken them out. Okay, so looking at the first thing, however, this reliance on technology does not necessarily preclude the creativity that marks the human species. No, so you see, he's telling us his first point based on what he mentioned before. Remember, from the last line, he already tells us how technology helps, right, to take away the basic problems that would affect our thinking. All right, so if you really pay attention to every line, you'd understand how this writer follows the pattern as given in the previous slide. Again, you have the next paragraph, and then we have an additional body paragraph. Now look at this additional body paragraph. I left it in white. Why? Because it's just adding to the information that's already been given. All right, and then finally you have your conclusion. Now this video, you can go through every part of this essay by pausing the video and taking it down in your notes. Please, I would like you to mark out different aspects of the essay as given in our structure, because that will open your mind to how this works. All right, so I am giving you some time to pause the video, go through this essay, juxtapose with the structure given, and let's see what you come up with. The issue task can be so easy if you would follow the structure.